Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? So this week's episode is going to be on re behind the scenes. So we're gonna get to talk to James. James will be coming on soon, and he's gonna be talking to about his project that he just completed. And so he's gonna be telling us, a little bit about himself, like what kind of experience he has in real estate investing. He's going to show us the house. So we're going to get to see the house that he renovated, what he did with it. Then he's going to be running us through the numbers. And then we will be going through, after running the numbers, then he's going to talk about the problems he encountered on the project, how he solved them, how he learned them. So it'll be a really good walkthrough of how it went and just any problem that he came up with, because you never know, you guys may also come up with those problems. And then we'll just end it with James giving some of his views on what tips he has. So let me see, I can see that he's on. Yeah, one sec. Okay. I just put the request in. I hope it went to him. Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Yeah, I brought my headphones just because there might be a little bit of outside noise just in case. But yeah, I'm
Awesome.
excited to show you this project.
Yeah, I'm excited to see your project. How long was this project?
So we closed on it at the end of October. So kind of the main delays came from dealing with the occupants. Initially, the place was used as a boarding room on the main floor, and then the upstairs was completely gutted. So our majority of the delays just came from dealing with our friends inside the house. So the
So
actual
before we get
actual
to that, let's, oh, we're getting a delay. But hopefully before we get to that and he gets back on, we're going to talk about his, okay, you're back?
sorry, yeah, I just lost you there for a second. I'm not sure what
That's
happened.
okay. So I was just gonna say before we start getting into the details of your project, I just wanted to give your viewers a bit of like what is your experience like with these kind of projects, like how many years you've been working on it, just so we can get an idea if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced. Just
Yeah, I guess I don't really know what I'm doing, so if anyone's trying to learn something, you're just going to learn from my mistakes, not my experience. I've been my first rental property was February last year, so February 2020. Since then, I've been trying to buy as much as I can. Prior to that, it was a single family home that I had converted to a secondary dwelling. Been doing a lot of research and studying and networking and trying to meet different people. So let's just call it 2 years in real estate, roughly. I've joint ventured with a couple of people, one of them being Jeremy Ivany and Taylor Sears, with my stuff in Chatham. Fantastic. And about 48 roughly units and about 25 properties. Um, that's, I don't know, fluctuating, I guess is the word, a little bit. But yeah, we'll
so I
see.
guess you learned
Changing.
very, very quickly and started moving very, very fast.
Yeah, trying to. I feel like the velocity is the main thing that really keeps um, I don't know, everything coming. Like the deals, the money, the everything is it comes with velocity, and yeah. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. Selling off a couple things because the market is just ridiculously hot, and even if I were to refinance the debt load on the property, like the income doesn't support it. So if people want to buy it at that, hey, I'm not going to complain. So
Totally agree. Yeah, sometimes, and it's good. Sometimes, like a pivot is worth it, right? Like you intend to keep it, but then you're like, you know what? It's worth it just to take advantage of all those profits, and you can probably put it to something better, anyways.
Yeah. So one of the projects that I'm working on, we refied it. I don't know, a few months ago, and we're in the process of refining it again because it's just gone up so much since. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's
100%. And you
that's
just
sort
want
of
to take advantage of those things too. So it's like, why not if you can? Because I mean, you take that money out for the purpose of you're probably going to reinvest it in something else, another project, another renovation, whatever.
that's right. Yeah, and right now, I'm sure most people will agree that we're in a bit of a state of inflation. So it's that combined with cheap debt basically means that your debt's going to be inflated away at some point. Um, so I might as well use the money now to act on something and do it now. Like there's people that message all the time like, oh, you know what, like next year I'm really thinking about. I was like, dude, like what the hell is stopping you from doing it like today, or at least a step towards it,
And
right?
it's very true. It's really funny. It's a little bit off topic, but it is very true. You talk to some people and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna wait," and I'm like, "Do you know what's happening with the economy? Because I don't know if you want to wait. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
a regular thing where it's like prices are going up. Like these things, prices are going up for a reason, and it's because of inflation. It's not like just an up and down market or something."
Yeah, the holding an asset right now is going to be important, even if it's a car or like a normally depreciating asset. It's kind of crazy, like even seeing like really the price of lumber and whatever else that we all in the industry know the costs associated with that, but just other assets in general. I don't know, even probably Beanie Babies or some garbage. I don't know. So
No, it's true. It is very true. Like I know some friends that are also getting into like the luxury things. Like I have some friends that are into like getting the Louis Vuitton bags and just storing them just because they know exactly because they're printing so much money, like just storing these kind of things that, like will give value and they know it's going to increase very quickly, right? So it's
yeah,
just everyone in lots of different industries are realizing what's going on in real estate and are like that, like an asset doesn't matter, a handbag apparently, like, but it's hard, something you can hold in your hand and it's just like it's going to increase in value, you already know it. So it's just like you put it in your hands and keep it, store it somewhere, and then you will see what's going to happen in the next couple of years. So it's, yeah, it's really
good.
crazy. But getting back to
Yeah,
behind the scenes,
yeah.
your house. So do you want to show us, do you want to give us a preview of the house that you renovated? Let us know what you did, what changes you made, and just anything you want to
So
tell us
I'll
about
just
the property.
yeah, I'll just tell you quickly. I made some notes. So the purchase price on this thing was about $220,000.
Sorry,
Um,
before getting to the numbers, we just wanted to
sure.
like
Oh yeah,
just
sure, no
see,
problem.
yeah, see the property itself. Then we'll go through the
Yeah,
numbers.
I'll start from outside and we'll come in. Give me a sec here. Hope I can flip this around. Oh yeah, there it is,
You
right at the
can,
top.
yeah,
Perfect. All right, one of my guys is about to show up here for. Here we go.
yeah. So the
Oh,
full
still
house, the full outside was done, right?
full siding, full windows, eaves troughs, soffits, downspouts, doors, capping, roof, you name it.
Yeah, it looks
So
really nice. What made you decide to pick gray?
uh, I just thought it looked cool. I don't know, never done one before. I have no design sense at all. It's just it was just like a gray and black looks kind of sick. So just
Yeah,
going in
no,
the
I
back
like it.
door here.
Until I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a really sharp look. I like it.
So still working
This
in
is,
here.
what is that? Is that like a little den area?
Yeah. So I'll just so kitchen, quartz countertops. This still needs to be like hung up over there.
Oh, okay, that's the dining room area.
Mhm. So we're still waiting on some stuff in here.
3 piece, that's really nice.
And then upstairs, I just
Was
want to
this
try not to trip and
kitchen
die while looking at
open
the phone or
concept
my.
already, or did you make it open concept?
We made it open, so a little working office space. Still some work to be done.
It's nice.
And then this is an outdoor railing.
Slash room. Is it too small for a room, or is it, or you can't consider it a room?
I was gonna add a closet here and make it a bedroom. It would have been a decent bedroom, but it's so this whole place is like made for my mom, right? So this is gonna be her office and working space. So that's an outdoor railing that I just put indoors because I thought it just looked cool, and I didn't like the drywall that was there before. It kind of closed it off.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it
back
definitely
down.
opens it up when you put the railing in.
Yeah. So the living room, a couple of bedrooms in here. Closet. I don't think they finished in here yet. Yeah, so it's still some work to do in here. But that's like it was gutted like this, and then spray foamed before. So
Did you guys spray foam it, or that's from before?
yeah, no, I did it. It was a little expensive, but again, might as well right now when everything's open. Sealed up all the cracks and stuff, and I'll just take you guys upstairs.
So
So
what
that's the
made you
main floor
decide
unit.
between, for example, the spray foam and not using the insulation?
So it's a couple things. The cost with labor and time, the time value of the money, ends up being about the same in my opinion. You put in bats and then you vapor barrier and you tape it and you spray foam like tiny little things to fill all the cracks and gaps, and then you lose time. Like we just needed to move quick.
Oh, okay. And is this separate? Now we're in the separate unit? Because you went
This is an
outside,
upper
right?
floor. Yep, this is an upper floor, completely separate unit. It's a duplex.
Oh, nice.
So full laundry.
The bathroom, kitchen. It's nice.
And then this thing is like a little eating area, but it folds down, so it can go flat against the wall.
That's
So
nice.
separate panels,
So you can open it up if you need to, the space.
little pantry and bedroom. So still some organizing to do in here, but new windows
That's really nice. So
and
this one,
everything.
the one bedroom unit, and then the
Yep.
one downstairs, because you had the office space. Did we see the bedroom? Is a one bedroom also in the other unit?
There's two bedrooms on the main floor, and then there's an upstairs there as well. That's the office. And then the basement. I haven't taken you to the basement yet. I kind of say to the best for last there, if you want to call it that. It's pretty messy. But the basement, it was being used as a bedroom, but it will be unused for now. Yeah, until it's like finished up. But I kind of just left it. It's not good headroom or anything like that. It's more like storage space. So cut down there now.
And was the layout, was this layout always that way, or did you guys like change the way the two units were?
So it was split into two units. So actually, I'll just flip the camera around right here. So you walk in this door here, and there would be the other side of the kitchen.
Mm.
And this right here would have been the outside of the kitchen, right? So
Yeah.
they just added, before we bought it, they added the wall there, and then there would have been stairs already going up here, upstairs.
Oh,
So yeah, so that's how it got split into two units, is through the kitchen, basically.
that's nice. But so you bought it that way, already split in that way.
Yep. It was a fully legal R2-2 zone duplex when we bought it for $220,000 off Kijiji.
And we can't wait to see what are the profits and things. Or I mean, well, you're not going to sell this one, but to see like what the refi or the appraisal value will be.
Yeah, so I'll just take you quickly to the basement as well. Hey Denzel, how's it going? So this is completely not finished and just kind of leaving it for now because it doesn't really. After we got the appraisal, it's just like there's no point spending any more money down here. So it's just storage,
Yeah.
really. So,
And,
but it was
and you
pretty
said
messy down there
the
before.
height is not high enough anyways.
Yeah, like I'm 5'7", 5'8", something like that, and like I would hit my head on the ducts here. So it's kind of low, like not really usable. Still some like plumbing cleanup to do, hook up the laundry type of thing. Maybe we'll clean up the floors and paint them with like an enamel paint or epoxy or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's otherwise like it's just storage space. That's it.
Yeah.
But one
And
nice
even
thing was
if
that
I'm guessing even if you were to do anything to it, you'll probably do it in the future if you decide for like resale value, right?
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So for refi, it wasn't worth it. It didn't really add any value. But for resell, I'm sure someone's going to be a little bit concerned about some of the stuff down there. Like we'll clean it up when it needs to be cleaned up. But for now, it's not an urgent thing. It doesn't make sense to spend the money urgently like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Although I'm
Yeah.
curious, well, I mean, if you did underpinning, you could actually do a third unit in there if obviously if the area allows for it. Or is it
So
very
the
small?
it would be okay. I know like underpinning can get time consuming and expensive. In our environment here in London, it's very hard to add tertiary dwelling unit um, in general. And if you have a duplex, it's actually not allowed. So you actually it's kind of screwed up. You have to have a secondary dwelling unit to add a tertiary dwelling unit. You cannot add a tertiary dwelling unit on a duplex. So uh,
So how does that
kind
work?
of
I don't know.
kind of annoying. Yeah, the main discrepancy there is the duplex is a 50-50 split between upper and lower allowed, and the secondary dwelling is a 60-40 split. And then the tertiary dwelling basically takes up some of that 40% of the total floor space as well.
And I
And
know there's some areas, probably not in London, but I know other areas outside where, I mean, they're planning to change the regulations, but for example, you can't even have units in the basement, for example. I know, for example, in Tilsonburg, just because I have a property there, we were looking at a property and we were thinking to put in a unit in the basement. And they said that right now the laws don't allow to actually have units in the basement, so you always have to have units only up above ground level. So I thought that was
yeah,
interesting.
that's actually in the Strathroy Caradoc township in general. The secondary dwelling units can only be above ground floor, so it has to be like an elevated unit. So I was trying to do one in a garage as for a conversion, and they said, yeah, the main floor has to still not be occupied. So
Hmm.
or it can't be part of the unit or whatever. Which I just it's the most bizarre rules there. So kind of odd.
Yeah. So let's run through your numbers. So how did the numbers go for this?
Yeah. Let me just grab my notebook real quick. So I already told you the purchase price. We grabbed it off Kijiji for 220 grand. And that was like an instant smash, no brainer for me, regardless of what the property was or what it is, because right now in this area and in London in general, that's kind of the price of land, like without anything on it, let alone for a legal duplex, no matter the condition, really. So, yeah, I saw it on, my mom actually found it on Kijiji, sent me the thing. It was like 40 minutes old, the listing. I called the guy up and I said, let's meet tonight. I went with an offer. And I told him like, I'll sign this right now. And I brought cash. I was like, this is the deposit. I'm gonna go put it in your lawyer's account right now, wherever it is. Just tell me.
Nice, he
Um,
moved quick on it and that's surprising and he was also quick to make the decision too.
uh, so he had it on MLS. It was listed on MLS for 270, which again, pretty not bad. And then he took it off and relisted it again for 250. And then it didn't sell again. And then he had it on Kijiji for 220. And that's at that point, the main reason that we were able to get it, because there was other people interested, was the speed. He just wanted to get rid of it. It was ruining his life. The tenants were horrible to him, and stuff like that. So it was mainly speed. Like he just wanted to get the hell out of there, and we
Yeah.
catered
Well,
to that.
especially like you said, if he listed it and lowered it twice and still couldn't get it sold, I'm sure he was just like, let me just get rid of it.
Because he was carrying the carrying costs on it because they weren't paying him. The carrying costs on it were just killing him each month too. So,
I can
um,
imagine. Okay,
yep.
so
So that's the
and then so
purchase,
what were
and
your renovations cost for it?
yeah, so it was about 120 all in. That's for the both units. Ended up going a little bit higher than, so this is kind of the shitty part. So when I first walked in and I was looking at everything, it looked fine. Honestly, like it was shit, but nothing that paint and flooring and trim couldn't fix. Maybe a new kitchen and bathroom. So in my head, I was like, 30, 40 grand. No, I did not get a vacant. I'll go through the fun part of that. So yeah, in my head, it was like 30, 40 grand down here where I'm sitting right now. And then another probably 20 to 30 grand upstairs because it was gutted. There was nothing up there at all. The roof had a hole into the unit. Like it was garbage. So I knew like, okay, I'm going to spend about 70, 80 grand. I knew that right away. But then once we started, so we finished the upstairs, everything, whatever, that was on budget, on time. When we came down here after we finally got a vacant, there was mice and cockroaches everywhere. So I called in my pest control guy that I normally use. It's with Orkin. I have like a annual program on a property of mine, and they just go back every 3 weeks and just do what they need to do. So I called him here and I said, hey, I want to set up a program like this here. And he said, well, you're going to be renovating it. So what I recommend you do is actually, sorry, I'm just going to close this door.
No problem.
What I actually recommend that you do is renovate it and then call me. So when the guys started taking down, so I'll just flip the camera around real quick so you can sort of see the layout. This was actually 2 more bedrooms right here. And this narrow hallway so there's a bedroom at the front. The guy was actually sleeping in this closet.
Oh.
This was that's his bed was here. So this was like bedroom, let's call it bedroom 1 in the closet, bedroom 2 and 3 right here. And then back here was bedroom 4. And then upstairs was bedroom 5. And there was another guy living in the basement, bedroom 6. So it was kind of a mess like that. So we took out the walls everywhere basically, and then just rebuilt it how we wanted it. So once we started, anyway,
kitchen and dining room, like it's all bedrooms and just a kitchen, I guess. Like you couldn't even sit down somewhere to eat.
Correct, yeah. So basically, to get to the point here, when we started doing some of that demo, there's just too much. It was not savable. You can't just throw paint on it, especially since my mom's living here. Like it was not happening. So
yeah, it's like it's one of those things that you're gonna put that extra effort in because you obviously want your parents, your mom to like live there comfortably too.
The other thing though, when we started looking at the windows and everything like that, there was zero insulation in the walls, nothing at all. So that was really shitty as well. And then it was running the cost between doing bat insulation and vapor barrier and spray foam. So I elected to do spray foam because it was 24 hours basically from start to finish. And it sealed all the cracks, all the insects, all the everything, whatever's there, it's gone. It's sealed, it's closed cell foam, like it's gonna trap everything. So the cost on that was $5,000 versus maybe $4,000 in labor and time and materials for bat and vapor barrier and stuff. So I felt that was very worth it. They did basically the whole house. So that was Great Northern insulation. So yeah, that's where the cost really escalated though, is we took everything out. So that added basically another 30 grand.
And was that change like very hard for you, that it was an extra 30 grand?
What do you mean hard?
As in like when you had your calculations and everything done, usually you have your budgets, like like the fact that you're just going over your budget, did that give you problems?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's always shitty to be over budget. In this case, it wasn't like mismanagement or something like it. You have to do it. If you don't, you will do it again later. Like it's a waste of money to not. So It was
You
not a
know,
hard.
I feel like those kind of things happen. Like once you get to a point, which I think, like you said, you weren't thinking to open up walls, so you probably felt very confident with your number. Whereas, like once you looked inside, then you realize, oh man, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
spend a lot more money. Because obviously, when you open up, yeah, because I feel like when we do any of our budgeting, if we're and we know, for example, we're going to do a full renovation, like we add a padding because it's like you just don't know what's behind the walls for it. But if
yeah,
you don't think, you're like, you think like, oh, I'm just going to paint or maybe just fix a few pieces of that drywall or something.
yeah.
You don't really think so much of the inside until you start opening. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, that was exactly it. Nathan just asked, was the 30K like where was that 30K? So basically that was spray foam. That was the additional like full drywall everything, all the lumber for all the new walls and everything like that. And strapping it out where there was nothing there before, right? No bats, no vapor barrier, no anything before. The
Did you have to
windows
also
were
fix any plumbing or electrical?
Yeah, so that was budgeted for before, though. That
Oh,
doesn't, it's not
okay.
in the inflated cost. The inflated cost basically comes from having to redo like all the exterior stuff that we weren't planning for, like the shell, essentially, um, and the time and the labor that
And
goes
so for
into it.
the shell, like let's say for the outside, what made you then decide to change the outside of the house?
So that was initially budgeted for as well. It was really bad before, like you saw the before and after, right?
Yeah.
So that's just from the front, but from the back, there was like spray paint and dents and holes. There was rotting stuff behind. I initially was thinking, oh, I'll just paint it, but basically everyone that I talked to said like you're just gonna have to maintain it like constantly, or every 5 to 10 years, it's gonna need something. Don't paint it. Either leave it and clean it, or do all new. It ended up being about $16,000 tax in for all new siding, eaves troughs, downspouts, soffits, fascia, everything. So I was okay with that in the end. But again, that's not part of the inflated cost. Um,
Oh, so that one
the
was budgeted for.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I understood wrong. I thought you said that it wasn't budgeted for.
Yeah, so the plumbing and the electrical. So we split the meters, or sorry, split the panels, but it's still single meter right now. Mainly because, well, it's just my mom living here, and I'll split it to that at some point. It's very easy to. It's just on the outside. And then the plumbing, yeah, we had to redo quite a bit, mainly because there was needles blocking absolutely everything. So that was something that we planned for, because that was an experience that I had in the past, where basically if there's people using needles, guaranteed it's in the plumbing, and for sure we have a 4-inch plumbing stack like that we cut out. That was just
Like the needles are inside the plumbing itself?
they flushed it down the toilet or put it down the sink. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
me
Wow.
neither. Not
I'll
until
keep that, I'll keep that in mind if I ever deal with those kind of properties.
oh god,
Gotta
yeah.
check the
So
plumbing.
check the plumbing for sure. Send a snake down or something. But again, like so that now we're 120 in, right? So now we're at about 340, plus some holding costs, about 10-15 grand. And initially, like I had run my numbers at 400 for ARV, so I was like, "Fuck, this is this is not great. There's no real margin here." And then I said to the bank for the refi appraisal, I was like, 450. Like what do you think? And then the appraisal came back at 553.
Wow.
So that's where we're at right now. And I like looking at the comps, like that seems like very reasonable looking at the comps now. But back when we started this project in October or November, the 400 to 450 seemed like a fair ARV. I have another property 2 minutes from here, that refied for 400 in March last year. And there's a property 2 doors down from it that's a piece of garbage, and mine's like fully renovated with quartz countertops and everything, fully licensed duplex. That one's listed at 499.
Oh wow.
Like it's insane. So like now the
Yeah, that's crazy
553
to see
doesn't
what's
seem
going on.
Yeah, it doesn't seem outrageous anymore now looking at the market and the comps, but I was really worried. And the only thing that really saved this project was the appreciation, really. So yeah.
Yeah. So a lucky mistake, and it's to be honest, I feel like the market we're in right now, it is nice in the sense of you make mistakes, but because of appreciation, like you're learning from them, but you're also not feeling it as bad, you know? Because I'm sure if
Yeah,
you did
it's
before, you probably would have been like, oh man, now I have all this money stuck in the property. I can't reuse it again. And, you know, so at least it's like a mistake right now. Like a lot of people that are making mistakes right now are kind of, I think, in the same boat. It's like you make the mistake, you thank God you learn from it now when the market is good because your people are still, let's say, I think at minimum probably breaking even because the market is just inflating so much right now.
Yeah, I'm a lucky idiot. I can tell you that. Like, it's a good time to be making mistakes because you're just saved, saved by the market. Um, Not a sustainable way to run a business, not a sustainable way to do anything really in general. But for people like who are sitting on the fence, or were sitting on the fence, hopefully they did something because your actions are just inflated away, essentially. So your mistakes, I should say, are just inflated away. And my
Mhm.
sister did a secondary dwelling conversion. She bought her place for 300 and again put about 80, 90 grand in, expecting an ARV of about 450. And um, like worked her ass off on it and worked very hard to get it looking really nice. And then the house, like a few doors down, not renovated at all, is selling for 450. So I told her, like, if you did nothing, you would, you would have. She's like, don't even tell me that. Like, I literally haven't slept in 8 months. So
But her house will be worth a lot more anyways, because she did actually do things. But yeah, it's funny when you see that, because I know a lot of people, for example, or barely started the project and just want to sell because of exactly that. They're just like, man, I don't even have to finish it, and I'm already making a profit. And they're just like, you know what, might as well sell now, get rid of it if they're doing flips, and then just go on to the next project. So, because I've heard a lot of people do that too, especially in January. They're just like, just get rid of the property. Might as well take advantage of that. Like the least amount of work and you're making profit. Why not, right?
yeah, there's I just wanted to, I guess, pivot to talk to some of the challenges because it's really nice to talk about the
But did we finish on, sorry, so what was your end? So you got all your money back, right?
yep.
And like,
So
was
it's
it
a
100% or did you even
553.
make more than were you able to refinance more or you at least got all your money back?
So let's just call it 550, 80% loan of 550, 80% loan to value of 550. So subtract the about, let's just call it, I don't know what, 350, let's call it 400, whatever you want. So it's still 150 minus the 80% loan to value of 550 minus the 350 that we're pulling out after everything's paid. So
That's awesome. That's great. So then, yeah, so
yeah,
now let's start with, so you're talking about the tenants. So let's talk about um, just even knowing what your plans were before getting it with the tenants and then actually what happened with the
yeah,
tenants.
sure. So right from the start, the guy warned us like they're not leaving, they haven't paid and whatever else. And I submitted a N4 in February and now it's October and I still haven't got a thing. Um, so he was waiting a long time to get a notice of eviction. Really unfortunately for him, we closed on the 22nd or something. Basically, 5 days later, he got the thing in the mail.
Oh.
So he was a little upset about that, and he's like, "I would not have sold it if I knew it was coming like this, and whatever." I was like, I'm not gonna, I don't know what to tell you, man." But so that was the initial challenge for him was getting rid of them, and same for us. So the difference was I knew that like my mom would be moving in here, so we submitted the N12 form immediately. An N12 form, for anyone that doesn't know, that's where the buyer intends to move in, or it can be for other reasons,
Like
but
the
someone's
family
moving
member
in.
is going to move
Yeah,
in, basically.
it tells you on the form exactly what's allowed, but that's what we submitted, the form N12 for my mom to move into the main unit. And as soon as we submitted that, so that was like end of October, basically, they're given 60 days notice, and they're supposed to leave. They not only did not leave, they also were saying, well, we're going to be evicted anyway, so we're just going to not pay rent. And you know what? Fair enough. Like, I would probably do the same thing if I was in their position. Like, why? I'm going to get evicted anyway, so like, what the hell? So that was the first. So we submitted the form N12. They stopped paying rent, so we submitted the form N4, which is non-payment of rent. Then they started breaking things, so we submitted the form N5, and then we started talking to them and trying to deal with them and like find them a place to go and use cash for keys as an option. So then we submitted the form N11. So those are four forms and multiple forms of the N4 and N5 for each occasion of things. So probably 10 or so form submissions to do that. So like, don't like that. We kind of really went hard on the LTB stuff. Long story short of that, two guys just ended up leaving. They just disappeared. No idea what happened to them still. The one guy that was in the upstairs unit, he wanted $300 to leave. So we gave him $300 and he left. The other guy, he ended up signing a lease for the garage to store some of his stuff for $100 a month. And then he, like, basically we just let him have 2 months of free rent in the garage there. So $200 cash for keys there. And then the other guy, I'm sitting in his like former bedroom or whatever you want to call it. That was about $500, and I paid that directly to the new landlord. We found him a spot actually to get him out of here. He stayed the longest, and he was the main delay for the project. So yeah.
By the end of it, how long was it between when you got it and when you finally were able to got the last one out?
So it was about October 22nd, November, December, January, 5 months. 5 months of delays. But at least we were able to get the upstairs unit done in the meantime.
Oh, okay.
And one of the guys was paying rent for a little bit, for a tiny little portion, until he realized like what everyone else is doing, and then he stopped paying rent too. So yeah.
What were when you were coming into this, how long were you expecting the process to take to get everyone out? Like, were you expecting it to be 5 months, or were you hoping that you'd get it in a shorter time period?
So we had to close on this privately with a private mortgage because no bank would finance it. The upstairs was gutted, right? So I did a 6 month closed and then open term after that on a private mortgage. That was basically my timeline. If it's not done in 6 months, fuck. Like that was it. So basically went as hard as possible to get the upstairs done, and then the downstairs we basically had to just do whatever we could to get it done before. Well, now like basically right now is refi, right? So yeah, and other challenges. They were really damaging the unit. They were copper scrappers. That's how they made their money. They were melting copper in the oven. That was really bad because the utilities were $300 plus a month for like, electricity and gas. They cranked it to like 90 on the thermostat, stuff like that. So the holding costs were kind of high for utilities for a little bit. We had squatters come in. So at the back, the garage, in front of the garage, they built this little like shanty town. That they were sleeping there. We set up cameras, saw when they left, and tore it all down. And then they started sleeping inside.
Were they friends of the people inside, or just random other people that decided to
literally
squat?
random other people. Like the tenants did not know them. But then somehow like the back door didn't have a lock on it. It was just always open. So there's people sleeping then just on the floor right there. So then, like, I took away the mattress, I threw it away. I just threw it in the garbage. Then they were just sleeping on the floor on a piece of cardboard. So I was like, God damn it. Like, you can't win.
Like, it's okay, I can sleep on the floor.
You can't win. So that was a little tricky. And then
during the process, was it, like, very stressful? Like, had you ever had this level of, like, drama with tenants before?
No, this was my first time dealing with this level of persistence. Um, yeah,
And
so
you
that was
working on your persistence. I will make it through.
yeah, like
Patience.
oh God, yeah. So there was times. So the other thing too that we reminded them is like, okay, well now we have a couple of vacant rooms now that some people have left. We're moving into one of the rooms, and you're no longer a tenant. You're no longer whatever. Like this is now a roommate situation. Um, Remember that with that, calling the cops for trespassing for an eviction is just possible. And like, not that we want to do, like, I hate evicting people in general, but they were not taking us seriously at all. Like, there's just like, I'll just stay here forever, and I'm not paying rent now. Like I'm rich. Um, so like, we just need to take some sort of action, and like between them not paying rent and the utility bills being like, I've never like it's vacant upstairs and there's $350 in electricity. Come on. Like it's all from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m., which is off peak and it's still so goddamn expensive. Like they're
Oh.
just doing sketchy shit. Um but yeah, like yeah, here we are now. So
So, were there any other problems? Like, did you have renovation problems, or would you have said like the tenants were really the only issue that you had?
I would say the main issues were the inflated costs because I did not appreciate how damaged this place was. That was maybe my own inexperience, or I could have looked better or done something better. Definitely was not a pleasant surprise, but at the end of the day, I am really happy that it was done because now the house it's not like the AC's not on, the heat's not on, nothing's on. It's just comfortable in here. It's very quiet. We did Roxel Safe and Sound, 2 layers of 5/8 and resilient channel between the units as well, full fireproofing, the smoke detectors, everything. We did everything. So it is a brand new place now. And
And I'm sure it looks completely different. Probably can't even
I'll,
recognize the same house.
yeah, I don't think I can add like pictures in my thing here, but
Or you can
I will
add it in the comments because this one will be posted. Like it'll be put on as an IGTV. You can just put it in the comments because I'm sure people would really love to see what the before pictures were.
for sure. Yeah, I don't see how to add a picture in the comments, but
Oh,
I
not in
will
this, but once we finish our live, it'll get posted on
got
as
it.
like a video or whatever. I think it
Sounds good.
posted
I'll
on
definitely
there.
do that. Yeah. Maybe I'll send a tag to some of the before and after pictures because it was bad in here. Like the bathroom, it had a tarp. There was a hole in the floor with a stop sign covering the hole. The everything was like all the plumbing was garbage because it's just filled with needles. Every like all the doors in here were either kicked in and then fixed, kicked in again, fixed. They had locks on the outside, locks on the inside, so when they were inside or when they were outside, people can get in or out. That type of thing is like the creepiest. There's like a giant 666 painted in the basement, and someone sketched like a guy sucking some bear's dick or something. I don't even know like what is going on. I don't know with so much of the stuff that was going on in here, um, but it's almost there. So plans going forward. The lot is 33 by 230. So that depth allows us to do something in the back. I want to do an auxiliary dwelling unit at the back eventually. I think
Like
that'd be
what's the
really nice.
time frame for that? Like something like within the next few months or a couple of years down the road or what?
Within 1 to 2 years time frame rather than immediately. Yeah. The like I don't imagine lumber prices are going to stay where they are right now. But just based off of my rough calculation, it would add probably 30% roughly to the overall cost of the project if I were to do it now. I don't think I want to do that. So another option is like there's the Lego block concrete things that you like fill after. I can't remember the name. My
You're talking
friend
about
Arthur.
the prefabricated? Are you talking about those?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. There's an acronym for it. But Karthik Bantu, he's done it before. and he was telling me about it. He said that's probably right now like the cheapest, fastest way to build something like that. It's going to be like what 600 square feet to
Yeah,
700
because I've been
square.
hearing maybe it is the same thing because I hear it like for even for just for people who want to live like in not such expensive houses, you have the prefabricated
Hmm.
houses and they kind of just put them together and then I think it's just like little things you have to do to kind of like actually like get it to whatever, put it to keep it together and like to I guess make it solid and on the ground and apparently it's super cheap too.
Yeah, because right now, what are you looking at? Probably $3 a square foot, right? Something like that on
For
average. Yeah. So if you can get it down even a little bit, that really adds up. So yeah, so those were the main challenge. The main challenges were my own inexperience of not knowing how bad it was behind the walls. Like what I would maybe recommend for people going into houses like this is somehow finding out the insulation, vapor barrier, what's going on. That is one thing. The other thing, um, like making sure that you're not over renovating. In this case, I feel that the renovations were appropriate for the market where we are, and as well as like who's living here. It's my mom, right? So
Exactly.
um,
And I think a
we
tip that I'll add on to your first tip is that if you do see something where it's just a disaster inside the house, it's better to just quote it as a full gut. Because that's basically like what we did, for example, with our Toronto flip going on right now. We quoted it as a full gut, even though there were some areas they're thinking like we may be able to salvage or not.
yeah
But at least in that way, it's like you price super high and like really you if you do it that way, then really you're going down and at least you're just like this is the max that it could cost
yeah
me.
yeah
And now you're reducing your price, which same thing, at least now you know, okay, I have this much money. Like let's say I have 150K and if you know, and if it goes down, great. If I'm saving, you
yeah.
know, 30K, amazing.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, and one I probably could have used in October or so. But that was basically my own mistake there, where I didn't realize how extensive. Well, I didn't actually see any cockroaches or mice when I first came in here, right? Like I was only in here for 5, 10 minutes. I knew there's smoke damage. I knew there were shitty like needles everywhere and garbage everywhere, and the flooring would need to be replaced. There was like dicks on the walls and graffiti and all these people's phone numbers, whatever. You know, Gripper that can cover anything like that, whatever. So in my head, I was like, oh, you know what? Not a big deal. But then once, like, there was nothing, like, literally drywall to the sheathing. That's it. So yeah,
But a very good learning experience, like you said. And
yeah.
um, and I'm sure you'll probably be considering like that probably adding more buffer room in. Did you add like when you did your first quote, I think what was it your initial quote for the renovations was 70K, I think you said. Was it 70,
70 to
80K?
80 was what I was, yeah, what I was estimating,
And
70 to 80, yeah.
did that have like did you put in a contingency like, you know, extra 10-15%? Or was
Yeah.
that yeah, so that even had like your little buffer in and that didn't even help.
No, no, because like I ended up going like 30 over, right? So
Yeah.
other things that added to the cost, so some of the windows got smashed while we were doing uh like they just got broken into. Got so we had to screw some of the windows shut and some of the windows broke and all this other whatever. There's
Like
there's so
these were
much other garbage.
your new windows that you put in got broken
No.
or the
No, like
existing?
windows that were new upon like the purchase, like they were newer. We were gonna leave them, but they just got broken or something happened to them, whatever. You know, like we saw on the cameras the weirdest things. Like we set up 5 cameras outside. We set up one in a tree where no one even knew where it was. And we just saw the randomest, weirdest things. Like I have some stories, but the some break-ins and like other damage that upon purchase it wasn't there. Like a door got kicked in, like that type of stuff. It just added to the stress of the transaction, I guess overall. But
And I guess it
the
must
main
have been because of the tenants that were there. Because
Oh,
I
there's
mean,
about
like I feel like feel like that now you probably don't feel like these break-ins and things will be an issue or breaking windows and stuff. You don't, do you have that
definitely not.
fear of that happening now?
No, no. It was just there. Two of them were dealing whatever they were dealing. So there was about 50 to 100 people coming to the property every day.
Oh wow.
Um, for After we evicted them, we left the main floor locked and vacant for a little bit. Because and we had signs up that said really like just fuck off. They're not here anymore. Don't get your drugs here. They're not here. But again, like the camera showed, so I have these Arlo. I'll just show you guys real quick. I throw these up at the job site pretty much immediately every time. These Arlo cameras,
Hmm.
and I get Wi-Fi immediately on the job site as well. So um, those cameras normally they last about 3 months under normal use when you're like they're battery operated, and then you have to charge them. I charge them once a week because of the amount of traffic. It was just constant stream of people in and out, 50 to 100 people a day every 10, 15 minutes,
Oh wow.
all hours of the day and night. So, um,
Okay, so
yeah,
then, so that's good. So it was just the tenants that were bringing that. Yeah, because I was gonna say, I guess you haven't since you started the renovations, you didn't experience any more break-ins, and
yeah,
like you said, you kind of gave that little bit of time frames for people to realize those tenants aren't there anymore, and also probably because you don't want them to break in and you start putting material in there, and
yeah.
they probably even steal the material. So I'm assuming
So
that was
one
one of your reasons for the wait time.
What that's part of it there. Yeah, we didn't want people coming back and like looking inside and all that stuff. One of the other tips that I'd provide is so we actually ended up getting a storage container on site for the materials because of that fear and that worry. So everything was just stored inside there and locked up with a big padlock overnight. So even tools and we didn't leave anything in here is just too risky. So in that
Yeah, that's a
transition
great
period.
tip. That's very true. Especially like you said, if you happen to have tenants that are drug dealers or something where a lot of people are coming to your house all the time, and because it does take people, it probably would take time for those people to realize that they're not there anymore and to kind of like to stop coming.
Yep, just to clear the air, if you will. There's a lot of history on this property, and if anyone's interested, I can send you the link to the article where there's a bunch of cops parked outside. They're talking about a shooting and all this other stuff. Like the neighbors are super happy. The guy to the left of where I'm sitting right now, he said, like, I don't even know how many times when I was cutting the grass, I ran over a pile of needles and they just shot into the fence. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Oh
Like
my God.
that is garbage. And then he's saying like my dog can't go outside, my kids can't go outside because there's for sure needles in the grass and all this stuff. Apparently like he got a like a metal detector and a big magnet to try and pick it up, but there's not a lot of metal in those needles, right? So
Yeah,
um,
that's crazy. So how was your like emotional state during this whole process? Like did in between all this drama, did you kind of like was it like getting tough for you? Like were you giving up or like just mentally like draining or how did it go for you?
it's exhausting, for sure. There's no option to give up. That's not a thing in my life in general. I still work full time though. So the amount of pressure was immense. Because like I set myself a deadline of the 6 months, and the countdown is like on no matter what, right? So as the challenges kept coming up, it was definitely something to deal with. But there's no option for anything else. Like you just have to do it. So um, you figure it out.
That's awesome that you're able to like push through because I know for some people those kind of experiences probably would have been like, you know what, let's cut our losses, sell it, and like try the next one or something. Because I don't know, that could probably be very hard for some people to deal with.
For sure. That's what actually happened to the seller, right? So he gutted the upstairs and then was renovating it, but they didn't pay him, right? So then he just started running out of money. Um,
So was
That's
he actually then he only owned it, let's say for a few months or a year or two?
yeah, a 1 year
Oh, so this
basically.
one was also an investor. So okay, so he did actually give up and didn't go through with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. So do you know if
So
those tenants he had them since even before him then?
he inherited them as well. Yeah,
Oh, interesting. So you powered through in one. That's good.
yeah.
Persistence always works.
Uh,
Just keep on
it
taking action, and sooner or later,
just
like
keep
good
pissing
things
them
will
off.
come.
Yeah, yeah. They finally end up leaving. It was mainly dealing with them as people, right? Like he did not deal with them very well. He threatened them. He shut off the water. He did all this other garbage. He messed with the neighbor stuff to blame it on the tenants. Like that it was not a
The best
smart
way to
way.
go by it.
Yeah, he didn't do it well, I think. And they responded in turn, right? Um, our approach, if anyone else is approaching, like realize that you're making these people homeless. It's not just an investment to them; it's their whole life. And for the one guy sleeping in this closet over here, this closet was his whole life. Like putting him on the street is something that you can't take lightly. You got to treat that person as a person, um, and find him something else. Find him
Yeah, and
another option.
something to even think about, which I don't think people think about, like when people like that are in this kind of state, where, for example, like you said, this guy's even just sleeping in the closet, like the amount of stress that he's probably under is probably so immense. And then if you're just going at it with more stress, like all it's doing is creating more and more anger, where it's like if you really probably sat down and was just like, how can we solve your issue? Because to be honest, like the amount you paid for cash for keys was not very much. So really all they need was just some help to figure out what to do as their next steps. Because, like, same thing, maybe they're so mentally blocked because they're so stressed with their own personal situations that sometimes they just need a person like you, to be like, hey, let me help you figure this out and move you into the next phase of whatever your life is and just help you move forward. Because sometimes the amount of stress can just be so much, especially when you're in those kind of situations. Like, I don't know, I feel like those people are like imagine like that people are breaking in because I don't know, they're not paying you or they're trying to steal your drugs or like it's not really like or people like the guy living in the closet. Like if you're living in a closet, like you're struggling. So you're in a
Yeah.
certain level of stress, right? And you doing it in an angry way, like negative with
Not ideal
negative
for
does
sure.
not make a positive. Like all you're doing is digging a hole deeper.
So I can't take the credit for that at all, because I was getting very stressed and angry and frustrated. But my mom actually was the one who said like we can't deal with them like that. We have to show them like empathy. We have to show them that like we bought this house to live in it, and like you being here is an unfortunate reality that we just need to solve together. So working together to solve the problem rather than against each other and creating a new problem, right? So that was a really insightful thing on her side, and because I was pissed, like the stress of the reno inflating, and then the stress of the bills being super high. That was where I was coming from. Versus she was away from the numbers, right? So she could see like how to deal with that problem a much better way.
And
So
that's actually
looking
another good
looking
tip that
down,
I would like to say, because which is very good that you guys found this out, and maybe even to reinforce what you're saying, because we also do these on our projects. It
yep,
is always really good to actually have like levels in your teams, like that. Like for example, like things that we do is like, for example, my husband does the renovations, and he's in it all the time, and so he deals with the neighbors. He's keeping cool with the neighbors and making sure the neighbors are good. But when, for example, a neighbor, let's say, comes up and like needs something done, or then they'll come to me because I'm completely like really outside of the project. Like I don't really get involved. Like I'm only involved until closing. Like I help with the designing and everything. But once like renovations start, I'm not really involved. So I'm not, let's say, emotionally invested in it because I don't really know what's going on in the sense as how much, for example, my husband knows because he's fully in it. Like he's like managing everything, getting everything done. Whereas like that sometimes he'll have like these emotional things that come up, and it's nice that I'm out of it because I'm seeing it with different eyes, right? And that was like
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. Like you and your mom basically were a team, right? It's like you're in it, you're stressing because same thing as these guys are stressing because they're like not in a good lifestyle. You're also stressing because you're like you have deadlines you need to meet, you have budgets you have to meet which aren't being met. Like you're full on stressing, and your mom's like on the outside being like giving ideas without that stressful mind, right? And I feel like that is really good. Like you should kind of set up your teams where you have that kind of separation between like especially the people that are fully active inside in it and then people outside, because from the outside you do see things much differently. And sometimes let's say if like let's say for example your kids like you're fully stressed out and things are going on because you're in it, where now to be honest like you're probably blocked because you're just stressed and like it's getting like irritated and all these things are happening, and then it's like one thing that happens after the other, it's like all these mountain, like it just mounts
Yeah.
up, whereas like someone on the outside doesn't feel the stress, doesn't have that, and they'll be seeing it with completely different eyes, and then can give like certain advice to help the situation go forward. And that's actually, to be honest, something that I really like how me and my husband team up, is because like I really only deal to say with the private lending side. Like I just make sure we're fully funded.
Yep.
And like that, I deal with just up to the closing. Like once we close and we're ready to do the renovations, I only if I do get involved, it's just for example my husband saying like, hey, we need like a decision or something to be made, and he would like my input. But beyond that, to be honest, I don't really get involved. And I would say that's another tip, is kind of have two people. One that's, if you're gonna have someone really involved, have someone outside of it, because like that when you do get in situations, for example, if you have, let's say, beef with the neighbors,
Yeah.
sometimes like you're in it and you're getting upset and like you're, like doing things to each other, but the person on the outside be like, hey, why don't we just do this or that or whatever, and then all of a sudden, things get into, peaceful all of a sudden, because it's just like people were just stressed and like just kind of tit for tat or getting angry or whatever, not able to really see things through. What do you
Yeah,
think?
for sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Having some separation and building your teams and systems is good advice in general. On the emotional side, keeping the emotions in check as an investor in general is critical. For the problem solving side of things, it's definitely useful. I've seen that in my partnerships, where someone, when I'm the active partner, someone else who's looking from the outside at the numbers and everything else, is able to make quick decisions that when you're in it, it's kind of hard to. So it's definitely a good idea to always have a second set or third set of eyes, in general, kind of no matter the experience level. So the other thing I wanted to touch on real quick was, this was the first time I added a ductless mini split. So the upstairs unit has that, and I'd never done that before. But having the two units fully separated for HVAC, it's so quiet. It's insane how much noise goes through the ducts. I just want to mention that real quick, because I'd never actually done that before. Um,
So what is it? Sorry, you have two separate units, but one of them doesn't is not like the regular furnace and AC unit. Is that what you're saying?
it's a ductless mini split system.
Are
So,
those like the wall units?
yeah, one of the wall units. Yeah, so it was about 5 grand, um, roughly. So I'll just show you the condenser. There's the condenser for it there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
Yes,
interesting. And
it goes up.
that's all it needs. You don't need anything on the inside?
On the inside, there is, I'll show you that as well. But I just want to mention that real quick because it's something that I had just never done before, and maybe someone else could use that to their advantage when they need to noise proof something. So just heading up the stairs here. So that's it there.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's
So
the wall units. Oh, okay, but it's a really quiet one. That's nice.
Yeah, it makes very little noise, and it heats this whole and cools heats and cools this whole unit. So
Nice. Yeah, good to know. Good tip. Thanks so much for all the information. It was fun chatting with you and hearing about your
likewise.
crazy stories and that you're able to succeed and accomplish and have this beautiful home for your mother. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know she's excited to move in. We have a few little last minute touches here to do. So this is one of the bedrooms. I don't think I showed you, but a few little touches left to do in here. So just a small bedroom here, but hot lights everywhere, a little built in, or not
Nice.
built in, whatever this wardrobe
Yeah.
thing is.
Mhm.
So
That's nice.
yeah, and
Thanks
last
so much.
little quick, yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It was really awesome to hear about your story, and I hope everyone enjoyed. I think there's like a lot of learning if people like watch this again. I feel like there's a lot of really good tips that you provided, and just your learning experience is also like just tips in general. So yeah, thanks so much for sharing your story. It was great to hear
no
about it.
problem. I'm just gonna take you outside real quick. It's gonna be noisy, but worth the look.
No problem. Oh, I think we're losing the reception, but I'm sure he'll come back in a minute. But yeah, guys, while James is coming back, what do you guys think about everything that he said so far? Okay, perfect. Yeah, we can see your house.
Yeah, it's just a big lot. So let's
Yeah, you said 200 and what? 30 or 50?
230 deep total.
That's
So
huge. Yeah, it's
about
amazing.
130 back there. Yeah. So lots of room for activities. We'll do something back there eventually. For now, it's just clean up. Getting rid of all the needles. We still find some every day, so
Oh God.
lots of fun.
Sooner or later, there'll be zero.
Eventually, yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up. Thanks for the chat,
Awesome. Yeah,
and
thanks for coming
I'll see
on.
you
And I
later.
know a lot of people got a lot of value. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll see everyone at the next one. And just so you guys know, next month James will be back on, so you'll get to hear him again.
Good.
Bye,
See you later.
everyone. Thanks for coming on, James. Bye.
No problem. Bye.